Hi guys, good morning. My name is Peace Aneke. I'm the Director of Purchasing here in Corona-Norco Unified School District. I'm very glad to be here, and today I will be reading a book for you titled She Persisted, the stories of 13 American women who changed the world. I'm very excited to get into this book. Come along with me. Sometimes being a girl isn't easy. At some point, someone will tell you no, will tell you to be quiet, and may even tell you your dreams are impossible. Don't listen to them. These 13 American women certainly did not take no for an answer. They persisted. Harriet Tubman was born a slave, and her story could have ended there. Instead, she persisted, escaping from slavery and becoming the most famous conductor on the Underground Railroad. She risked her life many times to lead countless slaves to freedom, including her family, friends, and strangers. Every person she led to freedom arrived safely. And a quote from Harriet: "I should fight for my liberty as long as my strength lasted." The next lady is Helen Keller. Once Helen Keller became blind and deaf as a toddler. Few people thought she wouldn't be able to learn to read, write, or speak, but she persisted. Helen learned how to do all three, and not only became the first person with deaf blindness to graduate from college, but she used her story to help fight for more opportunities for people with disabilities in the United States and around the world. Helen Keller says, "One can never consent to creep when one feels an impulse to soar." The next lady is Clara Lemlich. After her family fled poverty and the threat of violence in Ukraine for a new home in New York City, Clara Lemlich got a job working at a garment factory. She wrote that the factory's conditions made women into machines, and she persisted, organizing picket lines and strikes that ultimately helped win better pay, shorter hours, and safer working conditions for thousands of workers, both men and women. And her quote says, "I am one of those who suffers from the abuses described here, and I move that we go on a general strike." The next lady we're going to read is Nellie Bland. Became a reporter in part because a male writer had said that working women were a monstrosity, and she wanted to prove that women could do anything. At times putting her safety at risk, she persisted throughout her career in exposing real monstrosities, pretending to be a sweatshop worker and a patient in a mental hospital to show how badly people were being treated. A quote from Nellie says, "I have never written a word that did not come from my heart. I never shall." The next lady we're going to read is Virginia Apgar. Inspired from an early age by her brother's childhood illnesses, Virginia Apgar was determined to be a doctor long before many girls had such dreams. Even though she qualified to be a surgeon, the male head surgeon at her hospital discouraged her because she was a woman. Needless, she persisted, becoming an anesthesiologist and creating the Apgar score to test a newborn baby's health, which hospitals all over the world still use today. A quote from Virginia says, "Nobody but nobody is going to stop breathing on me." The next person we're going to read is Maria Tallchief. After Maria Tallchief's family moved to California, partly to support Maria's dream of becoming a dancer, she was teased by students in schools for her Native American heritage, and later was encouraged to change her last name to something that sounded Russian, since many professional dancers at the time were from Russia. She persisted, ignoring all the taunting and poor advice to become the first great American prima ballerina. A quote from Maria says, "It never occurred to me to say, it hurts to do that." The next person we're going to read is Claudette Colvin. Claudette Colvin, as a 15-year-old riding a bus home from school in Montgomery, Alabama, Claudette was expected to give up her seat to a white woman just because she was African American. In her refusal to get up, she persisted in taking a stand for what's right, helping to inspire Rosa Parks to make the same choice 9 months later, an act many point to as starting the modern civil rights movement. A quote from Claudette says, "I knew then and I know now that when it comes to justice, there's no easy way to get it. You cannot sugarcoat it. You have to take a stand and say, this is not right." The next woman we're reading is Ruby Bridges. When Ruby Bridges was in kindergarten, many schools across America, particularly in the South, still refused African American students their equal right to an education. Ruby would not be treated like a second-class student, and she persisted, walking for weeks past angry, hateful protesters to integrate an all-white American school in New Orleans. A quote from Ruby says, "That faithful walk to school began a journey, and we all must work together to continue moving forward." The next lady we're going to read about is Margaret Chase Smith. As the first woman to serve as both a U.S. representative and as a U.S. senator, Margaret Chase Smith could have let that fact alone be her legacy. Instead, she persisted in championing women's rights and more opportunities for women in the military, standing up for free speech and supporting space exploration. The head of NASA once noted that we couldn't have put a man on the moon without Margaret. A quote from Margaret says, "The right way is not always the popular and the easy way. Standing for right when it's unpopular is the true test of moral character." Our next lady is Sally Ride. Sally always believed women could succeed in any math or science career. Although not everyone agreed, she persisted, and she became the first American woman in space. But that wasn't enough for Sally. She traveled into space once more and then created science and engineering programs specifically for girls, so we could help generations of young women achieve their dreams too, both on Earth and in outer space. A quote from Sally says, "Young girls need to see role models in whatever career they may choose, just so they can picture themselves doing those jobs someday. You can't be what you can't see." Our next lady is Florence Griffith Joyner. When, as a kid, Florence visited her father in the Mojave Desert, he would urge her to run faster and faster, to run as fast as a jackrabbit. Even when she had to leave college to help support her family, she persisted in her training on the track, then went back to school and got faster and faster. Her unbroken world records in the 100-meter and 200-meter sprints set at the 1988 Summer Olympic means she's still the fastest woman ever. A quote from Florence says, "When anyone tells me I can't do anything, I'm just not listening anymore. Our next lady we're going to talk about is Oprah Winfrey. Oprah Winfrey's grandmother expected Oprah to follow in her footsteps and become a maid. Oprah knew, even as a little girl, that her dreams would take her somewhere else. She persisted in turning those dreams into her reality and became a media superstar, working in movies, books, magazines, theater, and most of all, television, where the Oprah Winfrey Show remains the highest rated talk show of all time. A quote from Oprah says, "The biggest adventure you can ever take is to live the life of your dreams." The next lady we're going to see is Sonia Sotomayor. Watching fictional judges on television inspired Sonia to want to be a real-life judge when she grew up. She knew she had to speak English as well as speak Spanish, study hard in school, and manage her diabetes while she could one day wear a judge's robe with a gavel in hand. She persisted, eventually becoming a Supreme Court justice and the first ever Latina to sit on America's highest court. A quote from Sonia says, "I have never had to face anything that could overwhelm the native optimism and stubborn perseverance I'm blessed with." So if anyone ever tells you no, if anyone ever says your voice isn't important or your dreams are too big, remember these women. They persisted, and so should you. Thank you for reading with me today. It's been a pleasure. Have a fantastic day.